We have reached 2001, and at this point, the Shrine Place lists a game that may or may not have been a real thing. Known as Bomberman 2001, it was listed as an upcoming PlayStation 2 game. Except for just a name and a few lists, one person claims to have seen a trailer of the game at E3 2000 and put that info on his Bomberman fan site, Bombermania. Now defunct, but archived. Apparently, the game was going to involve a hacker girl who got trapped and had to escape. I can't say for certain if that's true, and the fan site closed down not too long after. Man, looking through Bomberman fan stuff can be just as intriguing as looking through Bomberman stuff. And now the guy who ran that site is the CEO of a digital media marketing company. Well, who'da thunk? We should meet up sometime. Maybe play some Bomberman? April of 2001 sees the release of Bomberman Story, renamed Bomberman Tournament internationally, for the Game Boy Advance in all regions. This game follows the format of Bomberman Quest, being more an adventure game. And if Quest was Bomberman's Awakening, Tournament would best be called Oracle of Bomb's Emerald version. Our story involves 5 meteors crashing into planet Fantarion, disrupting the peace in the universe. Bomber Base gets a distress call, and Dr. Ein sends Max to investigate. He reports big structures being built where the meteors crashed, but that's the last message he sent before he went silent for a week. The intro shows us he's been defeated. Dr. Ein, worrying about him, sends Bomberman to look for Max and find out what's going on. Being the third game I grew up with as a kid, I was pretty confused as to who Max is and why he's so important. Turns out he was introduced in Bomberman Max. It would be confusing to play this game without knowing that, and yet they still claim there's no continuity and nothing set in stone. We start the campaign, and Bomberman lands his spaceship in the first town, Alpha, as Ein explains some basics to us. Carabon? Last time it was Carabomb with a CH and an M. The first house we go to has honey? That doesn't look like honey. Cool cameo, I guess. This house has Fujiwara in it, haha, who explains that Carabons are native to this planet. But then what were they doing on the other planets in Bomberman Max? Another retcon while explicitly referencing a past game. Shouldn't come as a surprise at this point. So this town is called Alpha. Later we visit Beta and Gamma and Delta, Omega. Really creative there. One way is blocked, so we head north to the L Forest, where we eventually stumble across and take a picture of Louie for the old man in the town who asked for it. We also find our first Carabomb here, Pommy. He seems to already know us, so is that from Second Attack or from Bomberman Max? He doesn't speak in third-person talk, and he's a Carabon, not a mimic, so maybe there was a break in continuity after Second Attack? The gimmick with Carabombs this time around is more than just battles. We can equip them, whereupon we get a special ability, many of which we've seen before like Line Bomb and Throw, now relegated to Carabomb abilities, though they still appear as power-ups in battle mode. So they kind of act like items in Zelda or Quest. The Bomb Workshop returns from Quest, one in each town usually, where we get new types of bombs for components we get from side quests. So the progression is a bit more involved than it was in Quest. Carabomb battles work the same way they did in Max, though now they appear in the campaign. Again, we choose 3 strategies and watch them fight it out. The opponents have Carabombs that we can collect later, and then we can fight some again with the same Carabombs. So are there multiple of every Carabomb, just like Pokemon? Pommy seems like a proper name for this guy in particular, but is Pommy now the subspecies of the Carabomb species? Or is it like Louie that sometimes it's a species and sometimes just one creature? Hey, the species of Bomberman has been this way from the start, so that shouldn't surprise us either. Unlike in Quest, we now have money we can collect from bombing blocks and from defeating enemies. Also, the food items are back to increase the stats of our equipped Carabomb. Occasionally, we come across a wall we can bomb leading to a cave, cause, you know, Zelda. After a pointless minigame where we have to guess if this guy is attacking high or low, we collect Seed Run, giving us a shield, allowing us to reach Beta, where this guy sends us to his basement to fetch an item. Turns out Max was here earlier and talked to him. We also find a shop that sells full heals and comics, which are explanations of the boss patterns later on, and a Carabomb arena where we can have our Carabombs fight for prize money. After the town, we find one of many bonus caves where we can Bakugan cross-attack to get more full heals. We reach Magnet Base, our first dungeon. A lot more extensive than the ones in Quest, with more of a focus on puzzles and more of Bomberman's grid-based structure, just like in the overworld. And Higiggrunts? We eventually find Elephant, a Carabomb that allows us to push blocks, including on the overworld, often spawning a staircase leading to a secret room. We also find a crystal, which functions as the dungeon map, and the silver shoes for more speed and permanent fire-up. No more upgrading single bomb types, fire-ups are more universal. We come across Sid, a machine that fuses Carabombs. The sole purpose of fused Carabombs is to open the boss door at the end where Magnet Bomber greets us. Yeah, the villains here are the 5 Dastardly Bombers, referred to as such here for the first time. It's been a while for them, but since when do they have Higiggrunts in their following? They know us already, so does this connect to the older games after all? Magnet says he's the one who beat Max and then fuses with our fused Carabomb to transform it to the boss. Kinda similar to the first boss in TG16. Upon defeat, we get our Carabomb back and move to the next room. I'm telling you, Oracle of Bombs. Where Max's hologram gives us a medal for a health upgrade and the path opens to the next area. But first, let's check by the ferry. That's basically the formula here. Explore an area, find caves with puzzles in them to get new Carabombs, find the town, talk to some people who Max already met, do some fetch quests, get new abilities from the Carabombs, find the dungeons, fuse a Carabomb, find more upgrades, beat the boss, continue to the next area. The beach area is mostly about finding Kaiman so that you can go underwater. But Bomberman's been able to go underwater without help. Also, he survived a boss fight in outer space and won an endless void, but he needed a scuba suit in Quest and... Also, we need to acquire aqua bombs that work underwater. But his regular bombs have always worked underwater too. Hey, these crabs aren't spitting bubbles. I mean, they are, but not as an attack. Underwater, we find Pretty Base. Of course, it wouldn't be a Zelda ripoff without a swastika dungeon. Or, yes, I know, it's a manji. Wait, Pretty Bomber was usually the third one. Guess we're mixing things around now. Also, wasn't she a damsel and sort of a love interest maybe in a few games? She makes no reference to any of this. And this time she is completely separate from Honey, who was somebody completely different in the first town. She fuses with our boss key Carabomb to become this thing. Max tells us Fairy Palace lies behind water gates. So onwards we trek to the ice area. More minigames, Carabombs, abilities, puzzles, fetch quests. We do indeed reach Fairy Palace, ruled by Queen Emeralda. But it's frozen over, so we need to beat the ice dungeon first. This guard has a story to tell though. Apparently this planet had been attacked before, and a guy named Max, who was a samurai, was with them to defend the planet. So Max had already been here before we sent him? The Plasma base is pretty cool. These 2 towers with bridges between them. So Plasma is number 3 now instead of 5. Hey, that's the monster that beat Max in the intro. But Magnet Bomber said he's the one who beat Max. Another contradiction? Or maybe Magnet is just a liar. Okay, so that melted the ice so we can visit the Queen. Though this guard says the past attack was from the Dastardlies as well, and they lost Max in it. So this is 2 separate events, yeah. The Dastardlies attacked a long time ago, were defeated with the help of a guy named Max, who was lost in the battle, and now he came back because Ein sent him. Let's see how this develops. Queen Emeralda opens our way to the desert area. Oh, and we get these hold bombs that we can charge by carrying them, kinda like in the Baku games. The desert volcano area is rather uneventful, save that we feed some teriyaki beef to this giant, and this old lady says Max dug out the cave so water could be brought to the desert town. Oh, a different Max? No, she just thinks it is. And Brain Bomber is the leader of the Dastardlies now? We go through Golem Base and use our newly fused boss key to fight Golem Bomber, who asks us if we really know who Max is. He turns into this odd necromancer who summons undead bombers, which is kinda cool. And Max sends us to take Fantasy back, the castle floating in the sky. We face the Carabomb champ and get his Carabomb. With him and the medals we have, we teleport up to the final dungeon, Fantasy Castle. With all our Carabombs and abilities, we solve puzzles, defeat enemies, including these spiky condoms, and find our way to Max and Brain Bomber, and he's taking orders from him. Guess we need to fight him. He isn't tough, but that knocked him back to his senses, so he isn't completing Brain's ultimate weapon anymore. We then take him on together, though Max isn't very useful. Brain uses patterns similar to what's typical for Bagura. Brain defeated, his weapon mech thing explodes, the castle returns to normal, Queen Emeralda thanks us and recognizes Max. So it is true. He defended the planet once before he joined with Ein and Bomberman. This is the second time he's here. Only question is, when did the Dastardlies attack the first time? Was it after Super 3? Whatever. The Queen returns to the castle and Bomberman and Max return home. Roll credits, the end. Gotta say, sure it's a Zelda clone, but it actually kinda works. The Carabombs were a bit unnecessary though. You know, these enemies were similar to the ones in Super 3 that were taken from Neotopia, two games that already were criticized for being Zelda clones. And as the Shrine Place points out, Neotopia 2 also had an ice dungeon consisting of two towers with bridges between them. The one underwater section is pretty much copied from that game. Neotopia 2 ended with a promise of a Neotopia 3 that never happened, but Bomberman Tournament has a lot of elements from it. Take that as you will. There was a semi-official guidebook for this game, which has a short comic where we see Bomberman and Max fighting. Max is being called a cyborg here, so a mechanized version of the original Max who was the samurai that people were talking about, until Bomberman beats him and dislodges a mind control chip from him, and that's how he joins Bomberman's team. It ends with this frame of Bagura, Mechadoc, and Mujo standing together. They've never appeared together before, so this would be the first time they're affiliated. All of this only questionably canon, and for Bomberman that's saying something. Our multiplayer mode has nothing particularly new, just nice to have traditional Bomberman battle mode on the Game Boy Advance. Our victor minigame is fishing, and our music is, to my knowledge, the very last time we're hearing a variation of the classic battle mode music. You weren't the first, but you certainly stuck around a long time. Say goodbye, everyone. But if there's one thing that stuck with me from playing this game again, it would have to be here in the ice area where you push a block, go down the stairs, and this lady says, "Max? Oh, that man. I was asked how to get to the Twin Towers in the north by him." Twin Towers. It's the ice dungeon. It's in the intro and the title screen. Twin Towers. Bomberman. Twin Towers. This game was released in 2001. In 2001, Bomberman climbed the Twin Towers. Navarm bombs can melt steel beams. Okay, I've seen enough. I'm out of here. Next game.